And welcome to Tennis Volley Talk with Brian Danielson. Hey, today what I'm going to be doing is talking about the recently in of the French Open with my sometime and most of the time we talk about the major tournaments is my my co-host Rob Small, and we're going to be talking about the recent French Open and all the little idiosyncrasies that went on and take it from there. But Rob, thank you for joining me again on Tennis Volley Talk.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, it is always a pleasure having you here because, where else can two people talk about the sport that they love so much?
That's true. That's why I love it, man. And it lights me up. Tennis is awesome.
It really is. It really is. So anyway, what we have the recent just ending French Open. We have two brand new champions, but boy, what a 2 weeks this French Open was! It was just crazy. First week contrasting with 90+ degree weather, which usually doesn't happen, and then the next week followed by 60s. The very high 70 at the most.
Yeah, the French Open isn't known for heat. We've seen it a little bit at Wimbledon, obviously in the summertime down in Australia. It's their summer then, and then U.S. Open occasionally gets a little hot, but never at the French. And it was just about 48 hours or so that the heat really kind of came. But then as quickly as it came, it went away and it was kind of back to normal. And but a lot of things happened.
Oh, a lot of things, like of course, going into here and into the French, you had the favorite that you would think would be Sinner, but of course we didn't have Alcaraz because of his wrist injury. And then we had Sinner that, oh yeah, odds on win it all and all of that. And yet that didn't happen. A lot of the youngsters that were coming up, Kaboli and some of the youngsters that have been coming close and are starting to come around had very good success this at this French Open.
Yeah, you have to see kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, we saw some upsets. We saw, we saw coming out. I think of some people, not a follower of Cavalli before this, but obviously he has a very good game, and when his forehand and first serve are on, he's really tough to beat. And if you were to tell me an Italian was going to be in the finals, everyone just assumed Sinner. But that's the beauty of tennis, and that's why they lace him up. You just never know, and that's exactly what happened at this tournament.
Well, yeah, and that's so true because of the fact that with that, you had then once in that match to actually for Sinner to be up 2-0, 5-1. And I've heard a little bit of a little thing that Agassi was kind of talking about this. He's played 5 sets, heat and everything, and then to come in an hour and a half and hit the wall at 5-1 and still lose the match.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny you say that because I just got done listening to that. Andre Agassi, who was so great, and he was one of the ones too that I would kind of. Pete was my guy, but Andre, I always listened to him too because he was almost like the guy who had to climb more hills than Pete did. He might have been more naturally talented, but I think his biggest game was against himself sometimes. But he was the one saying, if you know hours in advance, and he said this about Djokovic, because Djokovic early on, I remember he was playing Andy Roddick in the quarterfinals. I think it was 2000. I think it was 2008 or 9, somewhere in there. And Djokovic was still really good, but he wasn't Djokovic yet. And he withdrew from a match, and he got about a set and a half in, and was like, I can't do it. And he was dizzy. He was and Roddick was firing balls and ready to go. And Andre said, you need to start hydrating hours and hours and hours before. And Andre just said at the French Open just a few days ago, there's a difference between being fit and there's a difference between being ready. Jannik Sinner is clearly fit. All the guy does is hit balls and work on his physio and all of his, his fitness. However, we have seen him struggle in the heat, and we have seen him struggle in 5-set matches, and that's something, like, if he really wants to be like that great of, like at the end of, at the end all be all, and he's in the conversation of the GOAT, he has to fix that.
He does. And then plus now, with that, there's no doubt that you even have Alcaraz that has had some problems with that, kind of overcome it a little bit as far as the 5-set and long matches in heat. So when he comes back, it should be, back into the rivalry again. But, it might take a little bit for him to get back and hitting full force again.
Yeah, and the fact is, like, not knowing when he's actually going to come back, I hope he's back by like I can't remember if it's Toronto or Montreal, because I know they flip-flop for the men and women. I hope he comes back by around that time. I know he said he's out of Wimbledon, so that brings it into like, kind of mid-late July maybe. But I'm hoping by end of July, August, he's back. If he's not back by then, he's probably going to miss the U.S. Open too. And at that point, I don't know if he just wants to completely shut it down and prepare for next year. But going back to that, you made a good point. When you look at Sinner in 5-set matches, it's almost like he's never out of it. Like, and it's almost like he finds a fit, just push the pedal to the floor and just go. And with Sinner, his career record in 5-set matches as a professional is 6-12.
Oh my gosh!
So that tells me, and earlier this year at the Australian Open in the semifinals, he lost to a 38-year-old. I know it's the GOAT, Djokovic, but he lost in a 5-set match. So, I think there's something to be said about that. And if you're going to beat Yannick and it goes 4 or 5 sets, you've got it. Like, the longer it goes, the better your odds are. So something needs to happen where, I don't know if it's like up your training, up his like hydration level. I don't know, but his team really needs to focus on that, because he's not just going to run through everybody in 3 sets like he's been doing. There's going to be an Alcaraz, there's going to be a Zverev, there's going to be some of these young guns that are going to be smoking the ball around, because they have to take those chances. Almost like Lucas Rosol one year did against Rafael Nadal at Wimbledon. He was hitting missiles and bombs, and he just went for it because he said, if I don't do that, I have 0 chance to beat this guy. So you're going to see more and more of that against Sinner. And for me, it's going to be telling how he prepares for that going forward.
Oh, absolutely. And also with that, I mean, like you were kind of saying, Sampras is your guy. I did see a little clip on how people they had McEnroe and they had Agassi, they had Carlo Ivanisevic talking about it, had a lot of the players talking about the players nowadays would not know how to handle Pete Sampras serve and volley. They're not taught they're taught to grind, but they would not know how to take a pure serve and volley and do something against a serve and volley like Pete, and especially Pete's serve, coming in constantly at 130 plus, up to 140 with the same toss.
Exactly.
You didn't know where he was going to hit it, down the tee, out wide with the same toss.
That's another conversation we can have in itself, like past players playing today, how would they fare? And I think you're going to get a consensus. Like, if you ask Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, even Sinner and Alcaraz now, what would a Pete Sampras say he was 23 years old right now, given modern training and technology and everything? Like, how would he fare? I think you're going to get the same concept. Like, he's going to do really good. I mean, he probably wouldn't be as dominant, because I think there's some really good players that you have to go through. However, back when Pete played, I think he had to go through more of a challenge, because there was an Agassi, there was Michael Chang's, there was Marcelo Rios's, there was
Ivan Lendl's still when Pete was first coming up. There was still Goran Ivanisevic, lefty serve. Good luck breaking that thing. Yes.
I think that there was Stefan Edberg, in the early '90s, and even into like a little bit of the mid. And who's the German guy? Boris
Becker. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I just named how many Hall of Famers that Pete had to deal with, especially early on in his career.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And I was arguing with somebody online actually saying, oh, Sampras would get rolled if he played today. And I said, listen,
Mhm.
Sampras grew up when he was a boy playing in the 70s and 80s.
Mhm.
And what was the style in the 70s and 80s? It was predominantly serve and volley.
That is right.
The grass was way faster.
Mhm.
The hard courts were faster. And the clay is probably about the same. But they've slowed the Wimbledon grass down. They've even self-admitted that. Like, they've changed what it was. So back when Pete played, if you had a dominant serve like that, you had to come in after it because it's an easy put away.
Mhm.
So I think if you flip flopped them, how would a Yannick Sinner do against in the 1997 Wimbledon against a guy like Pete on that grass,
Mhm.
serving and volleying? I think it would be very tough. And Andre Agassi talked about the same thing you did. Pete Sampras, you never knew where the serve was going. You could maybe try to anticipate it, but it's almost a guessing game. He had the same toss, same with Federer. Federer could do so many serves off of one toss.
Mhm.
And then he could throw 142 right into your body and just kind of saw you off at the handle. And then even if you do get it back, here comes like a 6'1", 6'2" guy who Pete was really physically fit too. He's coming in with the best slam dunk shot of all time.
Oh,
so,
yes.
That's why he won 7 Wimbledons in 8 years.
That is true.
He won so many U.S. Opens and a couple Australians too.
Oh, yeah.
The guy was dominant, and I think it would be kind of cool. I wish we could go back and, I don't know, maybe someday, like, I know that they've done this in the past, like fight simulators where, like, how would Muhammad Ali do against Mike Tyson? And all these things.
Oh, gosh,
I
yeah.
want to see if they could do that with tennis. Like, how would a Sinner do in 1997 against Pete Sampras at Wimbledon?
At his prime, prime to prime.
Right. Prime versus prime.
Yeah. And I think, you're right. I mean, I think that it would be a very, very tough out for Sinner if he was to win. That you just had to be right on in order to beat Sampras back then. You had to be on. You that was it. You either were going to be on or you're not going to win with Sampras.
Well, I've said this stat before, but I think Pete Sampras in the 90s held serve like 92% of the time.
Oh, that is amazing.
If you're going to beat Pete, you better get lucky and string 4 points together and try to break them.
Yes.
Or you take your chances in a tiebreaker, which, I guess if you've got a mini break, that might be easier, but you got to get to the tiebreaker first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh,
so there's 12 games gone. And I guess sometimes with Pete, though, the good thing was he usually served and held really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're not exerting a whole lot of energy, but then, you got to go back at him. And I don't know, man. I think it would be cool, and I think a great athlete is a great athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if Pete was born, say, in 2000, I think he would be, like a ground stroking machine like the rest of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so on and so forth. If Alcaraz and Sinner and Djokovic had been born, 10, 15, 20 years earlier, they're probably going to be serving and volleying.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then
that's the way the game was played.
Yeah, and Pete had one of the more pure, also a pure one-handed backhand.
Yes.
And that was amazing in itself because he had power to it and direction and could hit it anywhere on the court. And
his one-handed backhand gets slept on. His return to serve, you can kind of pick on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he really emphasized enough on that. Kind of like Roddick, in that sense. Like, he's not the greatest returner, but his first serve, and you could argue first serve, right? Like, John Isner might have the greatest first serve of all time. I'm not going to argue that. But the greatest second serve of all time is Pete Sampras.
Yeah.
He only dropped about 3-4 miles an hour off.
Yep.
And it was a chance for him. It wasn't a way to start the point. And the slam dunk shot, and there was nobody better at the net. He could cover, and it wasn't like he was 6'6" with a great, huge, wingspan. But he could still cover the net, and his one-handed backhand was very slept on. I think it was better than a lot of people give him credit for.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely with that. So, it is. I mean, like I said, that is just such a concept of that. Some of the pros now, and even Djokovic and McEnroe and everybody were saying, these the young ones now would not know how to really handle a pure good server and volleyer like a Sampras. Just amazing in itself.
Right.
And with that, now, whenever Sinner went out in the French Open and lost, then all the eyes went on to Alexander Zverev, because he was the next best player that had the shot at winning a Grand Slam. And he had been playing pretty good the first week anyway.
Yeah, Zverev played really well the whole tournament. I think going into the final, he might have lost a set. I haven't, double checked on that. Or maybe two. I think he's lost two. Going into the final, I think he lost 2 sets the whole tournament. So he was playing really well. I have to be honest. When Sinner first went out, I was shocked. Because of being up 2 sets to love, 5-1 in the third, you got to think, like, he can string 4 points together, can he? And just take this set?
Yeah.
And, you just slowly saw it. And it's almost like, I kind of told Darren Helly, who we hit with, it was almost like a 5-0 player out there that couldn't move.
Yes.
And Sinner just showed you, like, he can still strike the ball anywhere close to him. But if you can't move and you're limited, and, maybe you're still kind of a little dizzy, like, his game is so off. And I do give him credit for finishing the match. I think it would probably have been better for him if he had just walked off. But I think he had that, like, the fighter in him would not allow him to just walk off, especially with a lead so big.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Sinner was just, think about it, if he gets through, I wonder what would have happened. If he could have got through one more game, and then the heat settled down, and then Sinner had given, another day and a half of recovery, I think it would have been really tough for Zverev to win that tournament. But I don't want to take anything away from him because he played beautifully. That's how the draw opened up. And as soon as Sinner lost, my target went to Djokovic. I'm like, can he get number 25? Oh,
can he? Yes.
And when he was up 2 sets to love against Fonseca, I was like, this is it. Like, he's going in. This is what's going to happen, And then all of a sudden, 39 meets 19. And it's kind of cool to see the contrasting styles.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, my gosh,
Fonseca played amazing. He had a great tournament.
He did.
He's got the world in front of him. I know with Alcaraz and Sinner and Zverev and some of those guys, it's going to be really tough. But when he goes for it, and if he can, pace that line like he did against Djokovic numerous times, he's got a chance to beat anybody.
Oh, he does. He does.
I like that mentality. If he hits it in the net, he hits it in the net, but he's going to go for it, and he's not going to lay up. And then unfortunately he ran into Menchik, who had a great tournament.
Oh gosh,
Menchik had a great tournament, and that's another player too that he's not going anywhere.
No. Yeah, and he has just as equal of a serve too, and he has the ground strokes and to follow it up too. But when he lost, he just wasn't quite himself when he played and lost in the semis semis it was.
Right. I think part of the reason he wasn't himself was because of the player he was playing. I think this clearly was Zverev's tournament. And, there's going to be a lot of shoulda, woulda, couldas. Like, maybe if Alcaraz was healthy. Well, you know what? He wasn't. And Sinner wasn't hydrated enough. And Djokovic was up 2 sets to love and lost. So all the big names were there except Alcaraz, who was 2-time defending. However, and I told Darren this too, because last year in the Fall Classic, the tournament that we play in Elk River, he lost the first set and I think got broke the first game, and his opponent had to withdraw from the match because he was dehydrated and dizzy. And Darren said, I kind of feel guilty because I was down a set and a break, but I said, Darren, it's survival of the fittest.
That's right.
And I'm not saying these players aren't fit, but that's what it is. It is survival of the fittest. And Zverev was the most fit there and played the best game. And he fully deserves this. Looking back, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years from now, we're not going to say, well, Alcaraz wasn't there. Sinner, kind of wasn't, struggled in his match. It doesn't matter. They were there, and Zverev did what he had to do, and he won it, and he got his first Grand Slam title, and I'm really happy for him, and I was rooting for him. Nothing against Cavalli. This was Zverev's time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It was.
He had done everything else. He had won 2 World Tour finals, 7 Masters 1000s, a gold medal at the Olympics. He had won every big tournament you could pretty much win, except a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
He finally got that.
Oh yeah, and that was good. I mean, it's a lot. Some people in some of the realm have talked about it and stuff, but they kind of feel that it was kind of a tainted win because of the fact that he had his court troubles with what he went through in some areas, and they were thinking it was a little bit more tainted than what it was, but I don't think it was. He just flat out was the favorite once the big names went out, and it was his to win.
100%. And I think if people right now are saying it's tainted, I think that they need to really look at themselves in the mirror and spread more love and not hate.
Yeah.
And realize Sinner's name was there. Djokovic's name was there. The only one was Alcaraz, and I know he's so good. And he's probably going to go on and win, which I love. Alcaraz is my favorite player on tour right now, and we really miss having him, and he's so fun to watch. But again, at the end of the day, it's survival of the fittest.
That's
and
right.
Those guys right now were just not, I guess, as fit and didn't play as well. And Zverev, he beat the guy that beat Djokovic.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And Sinner, that's a call out. I think in a weird way for all the Sinner fans, I think this is a good thing, because going forward, you can't just rely on steamrolling everybody. And you're going to get everybody's best shot when you're number one in the world like he is.
That's right.
And he had been so dominant, but at the same time, he's got to change some stuff up if he wants to go a long 4 or 5 hour match. And as long as Menchik and Fonseca and Zverev and especially Alcaraz are still there, you're not steamrolling any of those guys, I think, for a length of period of time.
That's true. And with that, so Zverev actually, he won 6-1. It was 6-1, 4-6, 6-4, 6-7, 7-5 in the tiebreaker for Cavalli, and then 6-1. He kind of ran away with it in the fifth. He buckled down. And I think that what really helped him is after the fourth set, Cavalli decided to take a break, and then Zverev is kind of like, okay. Then he kind of regrouped and then came out firing and had to put the pressure down, and he did for the fifth set to win 6-1.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed because Zverev got up 3-1 in that 4-set tiebreaker, and I thought, here it is. He's so close. He's 4 points away from realizing and achieving his dream. And all of a sudden he loses the first set, and Cavalli walked off, and I said, how is he going to handle this?
Oh, I know.
He's been up 2-0 before in the 2020 U.S. Open final against Dominic Thiem. He ended up losing the third or fourth set, and then lost the fifth set 8-6 in a breaker. That probably plays on him so much.
Oh, I know.
And then he got up 2-1 against Alcaraz 2 years ago at the 24 French Open final. And then Alcaraz just steamrolled him in the last two. I think Zverev did everything he had to get to that third set and take a 2-1 lead, but just didn't have enough. That's what we talked about, though. That's the difference right now between Sinner and Alcaraz. We're in the fourth set. Let's go. And let's hit that gas pedal. And then, Sinner, you kind of see him kind of go down. So, I wanted to know in the fifth set with Zverev, how is he going to do this, especially with the extended break? Is he going to be hard on himself? Is he going to be yelling at his box? Is he going to be like, he's not a racket thrower or breaker much, but what's he going to do? And he just focused, he regrouped, and he took took the first 3 games and then got broke. I was like, Zverev, what are you doing?
Come on.
Thing.
Come on, get going.
Though, he never lost his composure.
No.
He kept his focus. And even when he won, he was still it wasn't like he was. It's kind of the celebration I thought he would do. But I think he was just, even after, I listened to his post-match, and he said, I kind of realized it when I looked around and my dad had his arms raised in the air, and he
Mm-hmm.
goes, "That's when I knew it was over."
Mm-hmm.
And that's what a cool moment for him. His dad is his coach, his
Yes.
brother. His team's been together, I think, the longest he said of anybody on tour, which
Mm-hmm.
is so cool.
Yeah.
And that was for all of them too.
Oh yeah. And from what I hear, his dad was a very excellent tennis player in his own right.
I believe it, and his brother was really solid too. I
Yes.
think he got to like the quarterfinals at a few of the.
Oh yeah.
I know Australia for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and some other tournaments.
Yeah. So everybody like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel here, Tennis Volley Talk. If you like, do that. You podcasters out there, you're going to be hearing about the Racket of the Week coming up here pretty soon. So like, subscribe, and comment. And with that, now also going on, we have the women. We got a new champion, only 19 years old, Mira Andreeva, against Maja Walinska. You don't say the CH, but it starts with the CH. You just pronounce the W. So, and Mira just kind of like stepped it up. And once a lot of the other ones that you were expecting to win, and like Arena or Swintek or Madison Keys, maybe, who knows, Jessica Pagula going out in the first round, that just kind of, they started following, and then she just kind of kept a steady oar in the water all the way through to the final, and wins the final.
Yeah, she kept her head, and first of all, Walinska is a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
She's 24, she'll be 25 in October. She was so she's at almost 25 years old, you kind of know what your career is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And for her, this is only her third time she's ever been in the main event draw of anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she had been at Australia, and I think she has only, coming into this French Open, she'd only won one match at a Grand Slam.
Yeah.
If you don't count the qualifiers,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
true.
you should count those as far as main draw goes.
Mm-hmm.
And for her, and I know the draw kind of opened up, same thing like it kind of did with the men, but she beat who was in front of her, and obviously Andreeva, she's good. She's 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the Fonseca of like the women's side. I mean, obviously their games are slightly different, but kind of that same story.
Mm-hmm.
And she just stayed consistent. I like her game sometimes, and I know she's still young, so sometimes like she gets a little emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But for her to kind of just be, Joe Cool the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
and have a beautiful game.
Oh gosh.
She just stayed consistent, and that's what won. She didn't care about what happened in front of her. She was just trying. I think it was like a battle within herself.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, it's just a matter of time. I just got to go do my thing.
Yeah, got to go do the thing and stick to the game plan of how I'm going to hit it with against who I'm going to hit with, and take it from there. And then she wins in straights 6-3, 6-2, and wins her Grand Slam.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the score and kind of the style of the match, it almost seemed like a first or second round match.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing for, Andreeva, because, sometimes when you're young like that and it gets really tense and tight moments,
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know right now how you're going to deal with that. And I will say, I'm not taking anything away, but yeah, Sabalenka, getting knocked out, which I didn't see that happening, especially the way she lost.
Yes.
She comes out against Schneider and wins the first set 6-3. She looks like she's kind of on cruise control. Then she loses 5-7. Okay, you lost a tight set. That would have won.
Yeah.
And then for her to completely just come apart in
Yes.
the third set mentally.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even physically, because she's still physically fit, but
Yes.
mentally. And like saying, I think she told somebody, like, I don't know if she ever said these words, but the headline was like, she basically wanted to quit tennis.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've had that before. I play chess too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a really bad day, you
Mm-hmm.
sometimes get like, I hate it. I'm done with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do this.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what, though? I think in the long run, this will be good for Sabalenka. I
Mm-hmm.
think, almost like Sinner, I think it'll make them hungry, even more hungry. And I hope she knows how great of a player she is. And, she did this a couple of years ago against Coco Gauff at the French Open. I think that was last year, where she was like crying and just like she was really like hard on herself. And she just needs to relax. She's still number one in the world. She's still accomplished so much. She's still slightly changing up her game a little bit, which I think is great.
Good variety now.
There at the end. So I just really bad third set for her. And that was just a mental breakdown is what it was. You know, it had nothing to do with the but and same with Swiatek. I thought for sure like Steady Eddie would get there and another upset. But you know what? For somebody like Walenska and Andreeva, they, you know, just kind of like what Zverev did, they
stayed
kept the eyes on the prize and the, you know, the task at hand, and they just kept driving forward.
Oh, absolutely, they did, and it was so great. But now I've, you know, with this too, it's so nice though that I've had a good like a good couple 3 weeks of on my podcast with anybody that has seen it, or the call or the Zooms that I've had with the Murphy and Luke Jensen brothers, which were fun to do. And that was just such a joy to be able to talk to those guys live.
Yeah, that was awesome. So I just got done with the Luke interview. The Murphy interview was fantastic as well. But really cool to hear somebody who, like, they've won the 93 French Open. Like, it's cool for somebody to get to that level to, like, tell you their background and, like, maybe the different sports that they played and their, you know, slightly of their upbringing and, like, who they competed against. And you hear some of the big names, like, so-and-so said this, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, McEnroe said that, or this guy did this, or, you know, it's really cool to hear that. You've had Stan Smith on, Johan Creek. There's been so many, you know, great players you've had. Did you say that that was a Tim Mayo interview?
Yeah, Tim Mayotte just did there you go. Last week. And Racket of the Week for him was the red head that he used to play with. And so I did the Racket of the Week in commemoration of Tim Mayotte because he played with the red head.
That's cool. I like that you've done that because I think you did that as well with Stan Smith and you know, some other cool ones. So I bet it like brings them back. Like, wait, you know, when was the last time they thought of that racket?
Oh, absolutely. And Tim was telling me and I only had the phone interview with him because he was kind of strapped for time and stuff. But that was fun enough to be able to talk to him. And he says he has a T2000 along with the red head and a couple like old wood rackets or 70-ish wood rackets in his closet that he still has and he keeps. And then he now, and it was really fun to learn with what Tim does now and teaching tennis to the kids in the public courts and through the high schools and all that. He actually sometimes gives the kids a old racket to improve their footwork. And they start improving their footwork to get to the ball to hit it with the older rackets. But when he gives them back their new high-tech racket, footwork goes out the window.
Oh, yeah. See, it's almost like you're cheating because the racket's so good and it's got a big head on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, I mean, I've only played with, you know, some of those old rackets and wood rackets, very few. And, you know, by the time I was coming up, they were gone in history, but those rackets with the smaller head like that, and you know, obviously you can put modern strings on them, but you know, I still think the pop is only, you know, if you get it square, it's still amazing.
Oh, it is.
You really have to get to the ball with those kind of, and some of them are heavier, you know, so it's not like you can just drive a racket that's, you know, only 9 grams or whatever strong, and you know, whatever, or 9 ounces strong, and you know, I understand what he's talking about when they switch of the rackets. So. I think what we should see though, like maybe at the end of the year, I know the players play so much, but I think that there should be a little bit more time off in tennis, and I think that there should be a tournament where it's like maybe for charity or something where you take like the good players up to like maybe they could do like mixed doubles or something, and they only play with wood rackets.
Oh, that would be so cool to see. That would be really a good little flashback.
I think so too, and you get to see like their footwork's still going to be insane.
Oh yeah,
and I want to see the shots that they could hit with that.
Oh sure, absolutely. Yeah. And now we're going to be going into the grass season. So right after a lot of the players were out in the French, they went over to England, and now they're starting to hit on the grass now. And there's been a few little tournaments on grass. And now also we have the big news that some certain women tennis player in late 40s is going to be playing doubles at the Queen's Club, Serena Williams.
Right on. Who's her doubles partner?
It's going to be Umbuko from Canada.
Oh, yeah, right on. It'll be exciting. Listen, if Serena really focuses and takes this serious, which I think she will, nothing's going to stop her, especially if she gets a solid doubles partner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. And she had a press conference and she was saying, I don't put any expectations on me, nothing, I don't intend on trying to win. I don't, I'll just see what happens. And I'm kind of going, okay, yeah, I don't think so, but.
You say that, Serena, and listen, she has nothing else to prove.
That's true.
She could have just retired, traveled the world, been a mom, been a wife, been all those amazing things that she is. And she'd be considered the greatest woman of all time.
Yeah.
But the fact that if she comes back, almost like that, I'm not comparing Sarah Irani to her, but Sarah Irani also took some time off, retired, went away from the game. She won the mixed doubles title.
Yes.
I think her third one since she's came back.
Yes.
She also won the doubles title, a gold medal in doubles. She's crushing it, by the way, post-retirement. And, and Serena can do the same thing. And now I know she says, I'm not putting expectations and this and that. But also, she might say that, but I think the competitor and the fire inside her will ignite.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, too, when you're playing with a partner, I know when I'm playing with my, doubles partner, Darren, I don't want to let him down. So if I don't even want to do it for me, I want to do it for him. And I think that's what he's going to go out there and do. And you know what? If they lose in straight sets in the first round, I think it's going to be an experience for her. But I think through whatever happens, she's going to learn and grow from it and, do whatever she wants to do.
Oh, absolutely. And with this today, I got the racket of the week here, and it's a Wilson. And of course, kind of know about Wilson. It started about 1913 as a meat product processing. And they made tennis strings, and they made sutures for surgery back in the day. And then Wilson came in and bought it out. Thomas Wilson came in and bought it out. And then it became Wilson Sporting Goods. And then they renamed it the Wilson Sporting Goods. And then in the 1940s and 50s, they introduced the Jack Kramer autograph. But this one actually is endorsed by Tony Trabert, actually. And Tony Trabert was a number one American tennis player back in the day. He was born in 1930, and then he passed away in just 2021, a few years ago, at 90. But he was a formerly number one tennis player. He turned pro, of all things. He turned pro in 1955, the year I was born. So that's when he started his pro career. And then he retired, and he wasn't on the tour very long. He retired in 63, so not very long, about 8 years. And then he won 56 career titles, and then won the Davis Cup in 1954 before he turned pro. And of course, then this racket here is really still a good racket. I like the color of it, the red with the black W on it, and still has the red Wilson on the bottom of it here. Still a very straight racket too. You could actually probably hit a few little light ground strokes with it still with this racket. So yeah, it's a very good racket all the way. Anybody like, subscribe, and comment if you like that. I like showing the rackets because you get to learn a little bit of history along the way, which I do hope that you do like what I bring with the racket of the week, and kind of learning a little bit of history of some of these rackets that I have.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like you said, I like that, and there's always history with each individual racket, and it's kind of cool too because I'm 42, but I didn't grow up with those, so hearing about it is really cool to kind of go in the past and see what the players hit with and used, and sometimes you think like, how did they do it? You know what I mean? Like, color TV and all that. Like, how did they do it on the radio? And
oh gosh,
it's really cool though, and I, like you said, I think you really have to be great with your hand-eye coordination and footwork, and
oh, absolutely.
Something where you can just muscle the ball around the court. You really have to work at it, and
oh yeah, and then you really kind of had to have the good finesse with these rackets, more so than what you have with the power of today's rackets.
It's really cool though, really cool color. I like that one
too. It's really kind of a neat color, and a Capri, the Wilson Capri. So it's probably one of the ones like the Davis rackets that were like the Imperial, and then you had the Imperial Deluxe, kind of a step up and all that with the Davis rackets. But yeah, it's still pretty darn straight racket. Really a nice racket. So all you podcasters out there, like, subscribe, and comment on it. And you YouTubers, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you like that, just let me know. Anybody, just let me know on that. So yeah, now going on, who's kind of maybe you think a possibility odds-on favorite to win Wimbledon now?
Well, I mean, Alcaraz is out, so you got to think going in, Sinner's the favorite. And the points are going to be slightly less because grass is, definitely, even though they've slowed it up, it is still faster than clay and, sometimes a hard court. I'm going to say Sinner. I think he's going to, because last year, remember when he had the devastating, 3 championship points and didn't convert, and then he got broke, and, Alcaraz, soared through and won. There's another one where a 5-setter where Sinner lost again. I'm not trying to pick on him. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, really?
and then Sinner came through and won Wimbledon and beat Alcaraz. So
yeah,
I think it's Sinner's to lose. But there's going to be like Zverev. Let's see. I think now that the monkey is off his back, I want to see him like, let's just go for it and just see what we got here. Because it's not going to hurt anything if you miss.
No, that's true too.
The pressure's off. I mean, he's still going to have pressure on himself, and he's going to want to do well for his team, his family, and his country. Which, by the way, I'll get back. There's one thing I want to talk about Zverev for 1 second, and then Djokovic. I know he wants 25. If he's going to do it, I know it opened up a little bit at the French Open, but unfortunately it didn't work out. But he's always got a chance at Wimbledon.
Oh, he does. He does. Definitely so. Definitely
if
so.
If there were more grass tournaments, Djokovic would have a lot more titles.
Oh, I'm sure he would. Absolutely, he would.
I think a pro player, they only get 2, maybe 3 tournaments on grass, and then it's over.
Yeah, and that's it.
If you're a top player, I think you can only play 2 warm-up tournaments going into Wimbledon, and that's it. Most people don't even do that.
Oh, sure.
I remember Federer would only play like the Gary Weber Open, and then he would go right to Wimbledon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of sad. I wish the grass courts, like clay court, you get Madrid, you get Monte Carlo, you get Barcelona, you get Rome, you get the French Open.
Yes.
You get a lot.
Yeah, you do.
And even I know Houston, I think, still has a U.S. clay court championships and this and that.
In
grass, it's literally like Queen's Club. It's not called Gary Weber anymore. I forget what it's called now, but it's in Germany. I love that one. And then obviously Wimbledon, and then I think after Wimbledon for like it's like another 250. Do they still do Rhode Island?
I'm not.
They used to do the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, one. They do. They still do the Hall of Fame one. Yes.
Okay, yeah, but it's very short. Literally, it's maybe 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Of grass, and for these athletes, by the way, like Zverev's getting off the court, he's taking his pictures around Paris today with that the Coupe de Mousquetaire, which is awesome. So good for him.
Yes.
But now he's going straight to grass. So it's these guys, next city, next continent,
Yeah.
Next surface.
Oh
Let's
gosh.
go.
And I even, whenever I was talking to Tim Mayotte, and I mentioned the public green clay tennis courts to him here in Minneapolis.
Yes.
So he said, "Oh my gosh, well, I have a cousin that lives in Minneapolis, so he may have to be coming through here. He may let me know if he comes through." I told him to let me know. Take me out. Take me out to the court. You'll show me how to play, but I might play better.
Show me the right way, Tim.
Yeah, show me the right way.
Okay, so that's all. I hope I hope somebody does take you up on that offer eventually, because those clay courts are pretty cool. And I think that there's 2 also clay courts that were being built. I don't know if they are. You'd have to Google it, but at Minnehaha, like Falls. Like
Yes, right in that area. Yeah, somewhere in that area.
2 more, and to have free clay courts in Minnesota.
Yes,
that's really rare.
That is.
From like by where I live, kind of by Bear Path, they have somebody. You got to belong to the country club. There's somebody Edina and country club.
Yeah,
all those things. So to get it for free, I know sometimes you got to wait. That's the only thing. There's only 2 of them.
Yeah,
but it's worth the wait.
It is.
Go out there and get on clay, and I don't like to play on clay yet because I want to focus on hardcore. There's a tournament coming up next month for us, and then one in September. But after that, it's all clay, and I love it.
Oh yeah, it is really a good different surface to play on too, and
Yes.
With that too, I've been approaching a little bit different on how I approach my shot in tennis now, and it's starting to kind of pay off a little bit with how I'm hitting the ball. So
Well, that's good.
it's just a matter of now putting that to the use of the approach and the way I'm approaching it in a different way. And it's just kind of starting to work out. I can feel it if I do it, and if I don't hit it, if I hit it into the net, I feel what I did, and I went, oh, okay, I went too far past this point and whatever. So it's starting to work out a little bit for me.
Well, that's good. And that just shows you're 70 now, Brian?
Yeah, I'm 70.
70, right on. That just shows you, though, it's never too late in the game to start making some slight changes. And obviously, it's going to take a little time. But I think that's great. And even pros, like all these years, like I know coming into this year, Alcaraz, just when you think he's done everything, he changes his toss. And he just does slight little changes. And, I think that's important to incorporate to your game. You had talked about my return to serve, how it got better. And I just, up until about 2-3 years ago, it was something I struggled with. And I just was, watching videos and just kind of practicing stuff and coming kind of towards the ball and just making some adjustments. And, it pays off, but it does take time. And unfortunately, most people in the world now, they want it now. It's almost like somebody who wants to lose 30 pounds. They want it down by tomorrow. And
oh gosh.
It doesn't happen that way,
Yeah,
it takes
I know.
a little time. But,
it certainly doesn't.
No. There was one thing I wanted to say about Zverev, because I know some people might have already heard this, and I know that they did a really good job at last night on TNT. Really cool, by the way. TNT, I thought they did a great job. The only thing I wish that they would do differently, though, is I forget the guy's name, because you got Isner, Query, Wozniacki, and Sloane Stevens are there, and I forget the guy's name who facilitates all of that, but he was talking once when I was watching Djokovic and Fonseca walk out on the court, and he wouldn't stop. He talked through. First of all, I don't know the guy's name, I forget, but the guy who does the announcing of the names at the French Open, his voice is amazing.
Yes.
The best voice in tennis.
Oh gosh,
he is the best.
Yeah,
and I was like, stop talking. I want to hear the announcements. I want to hear the names and the roar of the crowd.
Yeah, that's true.
But, okay, back to Zverev. So 2 things. One, he's the first German man in 30 years to win a Grand Slam. A single slam for a man, for a single. Because I know Angelique Kerber won some for the women. She was a very good player in her own right. Beat Serena Williams for at least one of them, if not 2 of them. And then I think there's been some doubles players here and there. But first German man to win a singles Grand Slam since Boris Becker 30 years ago at Wimbledon, it will be. And then he's the first German man since 1937 to win Roland Garros.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That's a long time.
It took a long time.
That's a long long time. That was pre-World War II.
That is, oh my gosh, that is amazing in itself to know that. That's crazy.
1937. So 89-year drought. So, I know we're thinking, man, an American man hasn't won for the U.S. and, since 03. Well, they had to go since 1937 to win a French.
Oh my gosh. Was it Von?
Years for any man.
Was it like Von Kram or somebody that won that back then or something?
It was Henner Henkel.
Oh, Henkel. Okay.
And the pronunciation might be a little different because with the German pronunciation, but I'm probably butchering it as American.
Of course.
Well, I used to say Jacob Mensick.
Yeah, Mensick.
To Americans, it's Jacob Mensick.
Yeah.
And then you hear like the Czech pronunciation, it's Jakub Menšík. And I'm like, okay, I never would have got that.
Yeah, would have not seen that coming at all.
No, we say our J's over here.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. So with that too, everybody like, subscribe, and comment for you YouTubers out there. Then you podcasters out there, you got to hear the racket of the week. So if you want to take a look at it, go to my tennis channel, Tennis Volley Talk, to take a look at it if you want to, or you can just drive down the road and listen to it. Like, subscribe, and comment is all I say. Now, for all you other people that I've talked to before, like Luke and Murphy and Tim Mayotte and Johan Creek, Mel Purcell, any of if you guys can float anything to me, just let me know. Hit me with a text, hit me with an email. You have my number, so get to me if you can. Would appreciate it to help grow my podcast.
That's right. Yeah, we're trying to grow it, and not just for monetary value, but to get other people involved. And I think tennis is, especially in the U.S., sometimes it's a forgotten sport. I know you got football, which is awesome. I love football.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, but you got baseball, hockey, basketball, all these things. The World Cup's going on, but I think people kind of forget about tennis, and it's a worldwide. It's an unbelievable sport. I think it's second only to soccer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a great sport, and I think with American maybe men and women not dominating as much, like I think maybe people sometimes have lost their drive a little bit, but I'd like to see a resurgence, like you said, back in the 80s or whatever. You could go to a court and you'd be waiting forever.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I started, it was like junior high. It was like 68 or so, somewhere in that area when I started hitting the ball. And then you had the 70s tennis craze, where you had the ending of the Newcombs and Lavers and Rosewalls. And Cliff Ritchie's and Cliff Drysdale and all that. But you had the youngsters, Connors and Vilas and Gerolitis. They were starting to come up in the 70s. So you had that surgent in the 70s where you just could not get a court. Had to wait for an hour or more to get a court because they were all full. And then it kind of slacked off a little bit, until like mid 70s, and then it kind of started slacking off again. And then you have the surge and your surge, the Samprases and Agassiz and all of those guys that came up in the 80s. And then you had the big surge again in the 80s. And then mid 80s, it started kind of, and then you had the 90s. It started in the 90s, and then you had then Djokovic and those, the big three, and Nadal and all that. And then it started the uptick again with those guys, the big three, for 10 years. And then it got into then the little slack time. And then all of a sudden now it's starting to gain popularity again with the big two of Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. It kind of goes the ebbs and flows of each 10, 15 year increments, that it slows down a little bit, but it always catches back up with the ones that are people start to notice that are playing good now.
Right. And I know it's sky high in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
They've never been better, because back in the day it was United States and Australia.
Yep.
Those are the two. And then Sweden would kind of, peek their head in a little bit with some really good players. And then, maybe occasionally it was like Germany or somebody else. But really, I mean, now, you see the surge of like Spain, the emergence of them. And then, Like, who would have thought that one of the best players of all time would come from Switzerland? You know, nothing against them, but you don't think it's like a hotbed for tennis. But here comes Federer, and here comes the Swiss Miss, and all those. You know, and they've had some good players of their own right. And like I said, if you go back and look since 2003, all the Europeans that have won, especially for the men, Grand Slam majors, it's insane. Like, I think only Del Potro and who was the other one? Roddick in 03, but literally it's been, like, think about it. It doesn't happen often because Stan Wawrinka European, Zverev's European, Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, Alcaraz, Sinner, all European.
Yeah. And nowadays, who do you kind of have an odds-on favorite would be Fritz, but he went through knee surgery, so he's just getting back. So he's going to kind of be out of timing wise, I think, as far as playing. So who can be the next number one that's going to take over the bigger spot in the higher ranking of number one for the U.S. or we're not number one, but the higher ranked player. Now, if it's not going to be Fritz, who might it be? Yeah, Leonard Tien is coming along.
Yes, Leonard Tien's a very solid player. I know Michelson's a very solid player, and don't forget about Tiafoe.
Yes,
he was a set away from advancing deep into the French Open. And then, we always have Fritz. And by the way, out of all the names that were not at the French Open, like in Zverev's path, I think Fritz might have been the best one that was not there.
Yes.
Fritz has completely dominated Zverev, but Zverev has trouble winning sets against him, let alone matches.
Oh, that is,
In a weird way, it's kind of been a good thing that Fritz has been away from the game for Zverev.
Oh gosh, yeah. And then
we'll see going forward.
Yeah, and then do you realize that the Chang legacy is still going now in the juniors? Because his
is that with Leonard Tien?
No, the Chang legacy is in the juniors with Michael Chang's daughter at 15 is playing tennis, and she has some good strokes.
That's I think that's really cool. I hope that she does very well, and we see the Chang name, and that's really cool.
Yeah, and I saw that name when they were playing the junior doubles, and I was going, Chang, okay, I wonder. And then it came that that's Michael Chang's daughter at 15 playing in the junior doubles, and I was watching it, and she has some pretty good solid strokes.
Awesome. I wish we'd see more of that. I wish we'd see a Federer. I wish maybe one day, hopefully, we'll see a Djokovic.
Yeah.
And, live on those family legacies. And obviously, big shoes to fill.
Well, that's true.
It's really, really cool.
It is. It really is. So, and that's the fun part about it too, is being able to have this, my platform, to be able to give people. And what I said to Tim Mayotte too is that it started out just being a podcast for me and just doing a tennis thing. But once I started getting into with the stories that people had of their tennis careers, then to have it to go to the grassroots, and then kind of still having the racket of the week, which I really like doing the research and letting people know. And the racket I had today, probably about 1950s, right into the early 60s in that time period. But with the racket of the week, but with that, it turned into such a grassroots with learning these people's history of tennis and their growing up and how they began and all of that has been such a joy for me to be doing the podcast now, because it has turned into more of a history, and like I really kind of like doing that and bringing the players that I've had to the forefront of that. They've paved the way for the younger generation now.
Yeah, that's 100% everything that you just said. Those legends, those past icons paved the way. And it's funny you were bringing up some names like I don't know if you said, but like Rod Laver and Ken Rosewall and Roy Emerson, those guys. You know what's funny about all that? All of them are pretty much still alive.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think
and
it's so cool how all these tennis legends are still here with us.
that's
I mean,
right.
obviously, we've had some tragedies with like Vitas Gerulaitis, which
Mm-hmm.
is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Wish he was still there because he would have been such a great commentator.
Oh my gosh.
He brought even John McEnroe was like, that dude was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe not always like as a great tennis player in his own right, but John was better in it. But they're like, watch that guy go to a nightclub, like he could own it.
Oh
Watch
yeah.
that guy do an interview. He just owned the personality was awesome. He was one of a kind.
And
And Bud Collins and guys like that. But like literally though, if you look at like the past legendary players, pretty much almost all of them are still with us.
That is right.
That's awesome.
And that's the very reason why I've gotten the guys that I've gotten on here, so that they are preserved. So who else? I mean, who knows? If if whatever happens in Stan Smith and then they're giving tributes to him and stuff, and he was such a great player. I can feel privileged that I had him on my podcast. Probably,
so cool. And Stan's a legendary name, especially like if you're a 13-year-old kid in Spain, you probably don't know much about Stan's. Maybe the shoes, which I think is at least he's got that. Which I think is so cool. But very solid player, won some very big matches, and I loved his story too about him being a teenager and not very good in California, and he always had all these big dreams. And I think most people would be like, "Yeah, right. Good luck, kid."
Yeah.
And then he accomplished all of them. So,
yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. And to be able to have that preserved, and the hope is they're doing tributes. They might stumble across my podcast that I had on a Zoom and reach out to me to talk about how I got him and stuff.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think, and we need to hear more. Like, keep it on this. Like I sent your text, like the Jeff Tarangos, and like obviously everybody wants Sampras, Agassi, Bird, and like everybody wants those guys, but rightfully so. Those cool, those players that were really solid that maybe it's slightly been forgotten. Those are the players that I think have kind of some of the best stories.
True.
So, and they played with all those guys.
Yeah, they did. And that's the most, that is that through the networking that I've done and asking them to get the names to me, I hope that will start paying off. Murphy, remember that if you're listening, get me the names. And Luke, get me the names.
I would listen to Murphy Jensen talk all day. So if he ever hears this and gets back on, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, one question quick before we head off. Now you asked me. Okay, you asked me who the Wimbledon favorite is. I think it's Sinner for sure. Djokovic always does a shot. Zverev, I want to see him play loose now that the monkey's off. For the women, I want Sabalenka. Let's go.
Yeah.
A big game going on grass.
Yeah.
For the women, it's not as like, yep, that person's going to win it. I'm going all in. It's harder to do. So
it is. I think even though Rabakina's had a little bit of a hiccup in the last few tournaments, I still kind of think that she has a good shot too.
Yeah, 100%. Her game is, when she's on, she'll beat anybody in the world.
Oh, so, she can.
Yeah, let's see. And that's the ebbs and flows. Like Alcaraz, if you were to tell me, like after the first 2 or 3 tournaments that he played, I'm like, this guy's going to win 10 tournaments. He might win all 4 Grand Slams.
Yeah.
And then wrist injury, but I think he put everything into trying to win the Australian Open, which I get it. He's got all 4 now.
Yeah.
He's got 7 by the age of 22, 7 Grand Slam titles, 7 majors by the age of 20. Insane.
Yes.
But you just never know. And you think Sinner, he's going to just run through the French Open. It doesn't happen. So, and that's a lot. And Sabalenka, like, I know it's a horrible side, but listen, there's always another tournament. You got to put it behind you. So, yeah. Who would you think? Who do you think is the favorite men's and women's?
Well, well, like I said, the women, I still kind of impartial with Rabakina. I just like her game with that. Jessica Pegula has just as much of a chance too on grass as any of the others because she can keep it in play so good. that way. And of course, Mira, that just won. Her game would be suited very much to grass too, if she can get used to grass and moving on grass. And Iga, same thing. She has proved it. So yeah. So with that in the men's side, Sinner, you kind of have a feeling that he would be the odds-on favorite. But again, like you said, Zverev coming and have the monkey off of his back, relaxed, can go for it a lot more now.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see, like, hey, dude, in the biggest points, you've got everything you want. Like, let's try to, we can still add to that. But like, let's go. Like, let's go big or go home, especially on the big points. The other thing I wanted to point out too, Andreeva. By the way, she played Kristea in the quarterfinals. Kristea was destroying everything in her path.
Yes.
And Andreeva beat her 0-3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just shows you how good she is, because Kristea is a solid player.
She is. And
when you go back and look at her set scores, you're like, holy crap, like she was destroying the field. And then all of a sudden she runs into Andreeva, and it's a different story. So.
Different story altogether with her.
Good player. And, she's 19. She's young. She's off her back.
Yeah.
I think, and especially against the big players, play loose.
That's right.
Especially when you've already got one. Just play loose.
Yeah, play loose and go for it. That's what you can do. Absolutely. Rob, thank you again for joining me on Tennis Volley Talk. Another great time talking with you at tennis and everything that we've covered. And then we'll kind of keep it up. I'm going to be kind of doing kind of remote, probably from Oklahoma. Some of the tennis podcasts, I'm going to be doing those remote. And because I'm helping a person move back to Oklahoma. So I'm going to be over there, and I might even be doing a podcast from one of the tennis facilities, La Fortune Park, from the Missouri Valley area, in one of the more bigger tennis facilities that everybody plays at in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So it'll still be fun, and I'll still try to keep up with the time I'm gone and keep up with the podcast. So everybody can still hear me, and I'll still be bringing the racket of the week. I'll just bring some with me.
There you go. That's awesome, Brian. Well, good luck with all your travels and everything, the move and all that. And we will talk to you down the road.
All right. Well, thank you again very much, Rob.
Oh, of course. Absolutely, Brian. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
That was it. That was a great interview and great talking. So everybody, get out there, still play. If you're playing outside now, get out there and keep on hitting the ball. And I will talk to you in the near future. Thank you very much.